Hey everyone, Hybrid here with a quick reminder before we get into this video that I'm still doing my Toys for Tots raffle. That's right, I'm raffling off all these cool prizes to get some funds together for a big Toys for Tots shopping spree. We're going to pick up a whole bunch of toys, get them put in the donation bin, try and make a bunch of kids' Christmas extra special this year. So check the video linked in the description down below to redirect you to my main video about this. That'll get you more information on how to purchase in. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello there. How's it going?
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here with something absolutely insane. This is the Hot Toys 501st Legion Clone Trooper TMS092 as it appears in Star Wars Kenobi, which is my favorite show, at least live action. Rebels might beat it if we're talking shows in general. I cannot express how grateful I am to have this in my collection. If you watched my ICCC vlog, you may have seen a particularly quotable moment from me, which is holy bleep, when SkywalkerHendrix gifted this to me. So please, please, please go check out SkywalkerHendrix's channel if you haven't already. We're going to consider it as being sponsored by SkywalkerHendrix. You know, he has been trying to get me into Hot Toys for a little bit, and spoiler alert for days to come, I just put in my first order with Sideshow, and yeah, the financial irresponsibility has begun. SkywalkerHendrix effectively first one freed me. Let's get into the review and see if this is something that should be a pickup for you. Looking at the packaging, it can only be described as premium. It features a really, really cool looking photo of the figure on a black backdrop with some dark gray diagonals coming down. Sorry about the dents. I was trying to keep it nice, but it had to survive a car ride back from Nashville. Working our way down the box, you have a silver embossed Star Wars logo and a wraparound decal with Star Wars in red, the number TMS092, again, 501st Legion Clone Trooper, 1/6 scale collectible figure, red stripe, a picture of the clone there, and Hot Toys down below. This side of the box features the wraparound of the clone blaster, that info about the figure again, text about him again, that dark gray line working up the side. Same as over here, you have a different image of the clone with the same wraparounds below with a Disney logo. Around back, you get a ton of information about the companies that were involved in getting the details together on making this figure, and just all your legal stuffs, everything that you would expect on any sort of toy package. Even features a barcode, and there's a hollow sticker with the Disney logo, so it's like a super officially licensed product. Top of the box features another silver Star Wars logo, this one not embossed like the front, and you'll find the same on the bottom. Now that is not where this ends. This opens like a shoebox, so you have to work the lid off of the box. It's a snug fit, which is nice. And getting the lid off of the box, you see a super cool art card of the 501st in the Jedi Temple, or what would appear to be the Jedi Temple. It's a little fuzzy, but it looks like the temple. Working down, you just see different images with sparks, really awesome photography. Again, your same info about the figure. And this art card lifts out of the way, and you have the trooper embedded in there with all of his accessories. These are things that we're going to go over a little more individually when I get him out of the box. But yeah, as far as packing goes, Hot Toys really knows how to do it. Your figures will always show up in great shape. So here's the 501st Trooper out of the package, and as always, we are going to start with all of the accessories. So while I have the most related to the figure accessories out in front of him, I will point out something that I really like to see. There's swappable hands that feature joints, and just on the off chance that you should damage one of them, they give you a bag with 2 new wrist joints in it, and I really appreciate that forward thinking from Hot Toys. It would definitely suck if you broke one of those pins on a part that should be easily swapped out, and then I imagine if you had to contact them, they would probably send you one if need be, but it's just nice that they give you a couple in the box. Very forward thinking. It also comes with a direction booklet. Now, I will confess, it leaves a little to be desired. It talks about some of your swappable hands, and it seems to say that the trigger fingers are good for everything, but I will tell you the variations in that, because I don't think they quite work for everything, but they work for most things. Shows you that they're interchangeable, and they just unpeg. And then it has a whole thing about the figure, mostly in anime, but it just says don't excessively bend the arms. Yeah, if you bend them too far, you'll break them. High temperature, humidity will damage it. That'll damage most things. Be careful when handling the figure, otherwise the costume and small accessories may be damaged. So anyways, proceed with caution is generally the assumption here. It also opens backwards like a manga. What am I, a weeb? No, I understand they're based out of Japan. So anyway, looking at the figure, he comes with a couple of weapons. He comes with the DC-15 long rifle, looking oh so super good. It is cast in a very, very dark gray, very gunmetal looking. It looks very good. It has some very subtle weathering going on here, and it just looks oh so very nice. I'm incredibly satisfied with how this looks. Painted very well, sculpted very well. It looks the part through and through. Just some little silver blemishes here and there, just touches, just indications. You know, in any military, they want you to keep your weapon nice and pristine and usable, but you'll get a couple of dings and dents in combat, and this has seen some combat. So I do like how that turned out. Setting that aside, he comes with a DC-15 short blaster. Now, this has been modified a little bit for the modern live-action series, I'll say. It doesn't have the little hand grip down here it used to have, or at least as a style of it. I don't dislike this upgrade, but it's also just not the traditional look. And it's not a negative, but it is something that I just feel is worth noting. Setting that aside, we're going to take a look at the thermal detonator. Looking at the thermal detonator here, it is tiny, but painted oh so well. It's got a nice red button. It's got the hemisphere with the indicational lights going on in there, and it's got a good wash to it, and it very much looks like an in-universe thermal detonator. He comes with some swappable hands. He has a right and left trigger-fingered hand, so he's ambidextrous. Whatever hand he has, he can grab a blaster with it and go to town. They feature some really nice sculpting, some ribbing up the thumbs, and everything else is just kind of the undersuit, and these look very, very good. He then comes with some alternate hands, being a open-palmed, just kind of relaxed left hand and a fisted right hand. He can only punch with his right hand. His left hand, he has a weak left hook, so you won't get much action going on there. And then out of the box, he has these kind of like resting hands, kind of neutral hands, kind of coming in to grab you hands. And they're a very nice look. They're good for using as a secondary blaster hand, where, you know, the right hand is holding the trigger finger and the left hand's just kind of holding up the gun. However, this is the hand that I kind of think looks better with a thermal detonator in it. I think you can just kind of wedge it in there, you know, between the thumb, and it just looks a little bit more like he's about to whip it at you, you know, whereas the trigger finger hand looks like it's just he's trying to hold a thermal detonator in a gun hand. So I think that this looks better in this hand. Looking at the 501st Trooper here, he looks magnificent. He looks exactly as he appears in the Kenobi series. This has been a conversation that happens way too often in the friend group, but I have a preference for the live-action appearances of the clone troopers. I think that the 2002 and 2005 CG models look very rough, like CG models of video games in the past. Whenever they would bend their knees and elbows, the armor would clip through each other. It just does not fit a person. You know, when you're 8 years old watching Revenge of the Sith, you don't really notice that. As an adult, you're kind of like, wow, those don't really look like people. So in the Disney Plus series, they have really made it a point to make real costumes for everything and not do CG troopers so often. And so there have just been some changes to the armor design, which, while some people stomp their feet and cross their arms and say, I don't like it, I'm just like, well, it looks proportional, so I'm okay with it. Some of that might be a little more gapping between the thigh armor and just in all the joints in general, but it's just for clearance, you know. People in the 501st Costuming Group have been doing it forever, you know, just making it wearable. And so now they finally brought that into the world of Star Wars. So bringing him in, just take a look at that head sculpt. It looks oh so great. Very, very subtle hints of weathering on this guy. Just a couple little splotches and scuffs here and there, some little wear on the blue paint. That's another thing on this figure. The Kenobi series went for a little bit of a lighter blue, which kind of matches the color used for the Clone Wars animation more than in Revenge of the Sith. Some people despise that. I personally think it's okay. I don't mind that one bit. It is a modification that I find acceptable. It still looks like a 501st Trooper. To me, the rest of the deco is accurate, and it just looks oh so good. I mean, these guys are just pure eye candy. I love the undersuit you can see poking through there. It does have the ribbing, which is show and movie accurate. It was always a little bit textured, and they were able to recreate that in the suit while also leaving it nice and mega flexible, which we'll talk about in the articulation segment. Working down from there, you see some of the things that make it a live action suit, the seams in the armor, because it has to pop apart so that you can slip your arms and legs and everything through. And Hot Toys missed no details on that. It is very faithful to what you see on screen, and it just looks real. It looks wearable. It would pop apart. It would be a clamshell armor in universe. Like, how would you get through it? You can't just teleport your arm through a skinny gauntlet. Little seams in the side of the chest armor there. I love it. It looks real. And again, just that subtle weathering on the Temuera Morrison butt. He has the blue stripes around the wrists and going down the legs. Bottoms of the knee pads. The knee pads do flop around a little bit. When you get them posed how you want them on the shelf, you kind of just push them into where you want them. The thigh armor can slide up and down a little bit. The calf armor can slide up and down a bit. That's just part of the nature of having real pieces of armor on a fabric bodysuit. Something that does bother me on it a bit is there are certain ways where you can articulate the ankles, where you can just see in there and it's a pin instead of like a real foot, which, like, again, whatever. You just pose it to where it hides it a little bit. You're going to just have that on overlays on a skeleton structure, but it's okay. He's got a little more weathering going on the legs. I like that. It starts at about the knees and then goes down and gets dirtier on the shoes. That's accurate. You know, you're a trooper, you're running around, you know, your hands might get dirty from interacting with things, but your boots are going to be what's filthiest, you know, unless you're really somewhere raunchy. But there's just a little hint of grime everywhere on this guy, and I just really do love it. It is such a cool look. Something that threw me on my first time doing it was swapping the hands. They unpeg fairly easily. They're a little bit rubbery, and that's nice. But I had the arm a little more down the first time, and the forearm armor just slides right off. So as you can see, it is just a shell. The seams on the outside don't go all the way through. Thankfully, it's not clamshelled on. But it does show you a little bit of the structure going on in there. It's a very skin black plastic frame covered in a bodysuit, and that's okay. But just kind of shocked me when it came right off the first time, but I got over it. I'm going to real quick pop on the trigger finger on this side, because I will be using that later on. And that's how you swap the hands. It is super easy, buttery smooth, and I love everything to do with it. To run through some articulation, and this guy has a ton of that, he features a double ball neck system, which allows him to look that far up, which is just insane. And then he can go that far down. He can go side to side, all sorts of pivot and rotation, and just everything that you could possibly want from this guy. He is just ready to do it. You may have seen as I was doing that, the chest armor flops around a little bit. That's nice because it does get out of the way for your articulation. The shoulders come out to a T-pose and above. I mean, this is just superb. You know, you can get some really good laying dead on the ground trooper poses if you want. It does stretch the bodysuit a little bit, but it's a stretchy material, and it's designed with this kind of movement in mind. The shoulder pads are Velcroed on. There's Velcro stuck to the undersuit there, so it moves with the fabric, and it stays in place very well. There is a good butterfly joint in there. Nice range. I'm really satisfied with that. And the arms can do a 360, like the joint inside there is capable of it, but it's really going to start pulling on the Velcro on that shoulder pad. You know, you don't just want to sit here and woo, woo, woo. You'll start, you know, twisting the bodysuit. So that's not something that you should do, but it is capable of getting some pretty good range without getting, you know, in any kind of funk, really. There's an upper bicep swivel in there, and then there are double jointed elbows, and you kind of have to work with the elbow pads here just because the strapping gets in the way. If you really push it, you can get a little more than 90. It starts to pinch that there. But that is plentiful for what you're trying to do here. And then for the wrist articulation, they are designed with a hinge, but it pivots on both ends. So right now I have them set for vertical. But if you pull it down a little bit, and then you might see them twisting it in there, now you can get side to side. So it's really limitless. You can do anything you want with it, and ultimately that's very nice. And there's some mid-torso crunch going on in there. Allows you to get, there might be 2 points. I can't tell with the armor. It can go that far forward. There's definitely 2 points, an upper and a lower diaphragm. And I can go that far back. It does start to gap the ab armor in there a little bit, though. That's one of the designs that I don't really super like. I wish it stuck a little higher up. But you can get him in a kind of straight-up pose, and it hides it, and I'm okay with that. His legs, or I'm sorry, wait. There's definitely twist there, too. I should have mentioned that there was twist. His legs can go pretty much straight forward. It starts to get in the way a little bit there. They ratchet at the hips, which is very nice. They can go not back. No, not back. There's an upper thigh rotation. They're double jointed knees, and they can go very far. And then the feet are on this kind of ball joint system. They can go, if you shift the calf armor up a little bit, they can go that far down, that far forward, and of course you can get some crazy pivot, and it's on a double ball system, so you can kind of do whatever you want with it. So yeah, it kind of just does everything that you could ever possibly ask it to do. There's nothing that I have to say that's negative about it, and so far it's my only 1/12 figure, so I can't really do any sort of a size comparison for you, unfortunately. But I just gotta say, it is really cool, and I like it. Another thing worth noting, and it will really help you in your displaying of the figure, is he does come with a base. This base is very nice. It's a hollow plastic, but it's painted very well. It looks like the floor of some sort of base or starship, and it's just got a little bit of scuffed, like silver dry brushing going around the ridges, makes it look very lived in. And the front has a nice chrome plaque that says 501st Legion Clone Trooper. I really like that, although they really had to put that second TM in the middle there, didn't they? 3 TMs on one plaque, wild. They just put it all on there, and then, you know, one little TM in the corner. Now, this base features a crotch cradle, which you put in there, and then you raise it to whatever height is required for the pose, and it just kind of sits in Trooper's crotch. And even though it doesn't look like much, really helps him stand up. Very well done stand. And in conclusion, what do I think of the Hot Toys Kenobi series 501st Legion Clone Trooper? This guy is super cool. SkywalkerHendrix, I cannot express my gratitude highly enough. You have forever been a real one, and you didn't need to prove yourself further, but here you are, setting the bar high as always. This is a insanely fun figure to pose. I have been having a great time with it, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. You know, Hot Toys are kind of like heroin. You can't just have one, and they're always running a good deal. So, like, somehow, you know, you're kind of just on the website looking at some photos of stuff, and then they're like, free Boba Fett if you spend $300. And now I got a Boba Fett, a Mando, and an Armorer coming in the mail. Like, I can't stop. I got first one freed, and that's okay, because this figure is super cool, and I'm super happy to have this in my collection, and I think anyone that has been on the fence about a Hot Toy should probably try one, assuming that your pocketbook is deep enough. If it's not, stay away. Go to Dare. Remember Dare in elementary school. You know, drugs are bad, and yeah, don't get hooked. Very addictive. I'm off to get my next fix, and thank you very much to Hendrix and to everyone for watching. It means the world as always. I am going to go work on the next video, and so until next time, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.